Just give me 1 second. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
It worked.
Sorry about that. I don't know why it wasn't working at first.
Nah, you good. This is technology. This is the age that we're living in now. Nobody knows
Mhm.
about this quarantine besides us. When we get older, we're gonna tell our little grandbabies and be like, "Yeah, we lived through quarantine."
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. Like we had to go through everything during this quarantine. We gotta work from home, all that stuff, but we
Yes,
making it work, right?
yes, yes. Thank you for joining. Thank you everybody for being tuned in and to Be Great, Good to Great. We're highlighting people in their journey. This is meant to be interactive. So please, if you have questions, drop them in the comments for Briana, or like put them that little question mark thing down there. You know, we can pop that up too. Whatever y'all
Yeah,
want. This
ask your questions. Ask anything
is
you want to know.
this is live and interactive. Look, she gave y'all the entryway already. So go ahead. But man, I want you to introduce yourself, give people a little bit of your background and what you're doing now.
Okay, well, hey everybody, what's up? I don't even know everybody who's joining, but my name is Bree, and I grew up in Highland Park, Illinois. It's a suburb outside of Chicago. Born in Chicago, but my mom, moved for better schooling and things like that. Played basketball through high school, volleyball, just sports, love it. And then, of course, I went to SIU in Carbondale, as you did as well. And then there, I studied radio and television, and I just knew like ever since growing up, like me and my mom, that's my best friend. So like we always watch the news together. So I was like, I want to be on TV. Like I want to be able to give people a voice who don't have a voice, like those people like in the community who aren't able to tell their story or, just things like that. So from there, I graduated from SIU, and then I went on to work in radio for a year because it's kind of hard to get in the television industry when you're first starting out. So I worked at iHeartMedia in Chicago. I worked for WGCI, V103, all those. Shout out to Tone Capone. Shout out to Kyle Santillion. Those are my guys. So yeah, and so after that, so I worked there for about a year, and then I got the call that kind of like allowed me to break into the industry. And my first on-air job was in the Quad Cities, which is maybe like 3-ish hours from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked there for 2 years, and then my contract was up, and I was like, I want to get somewhere warm. Like it's cold here. Forget this snow. Like, so, so then I got an offer here. Well, I had a few offers. I turned some down. Some turned me down, Macon, Myrtle Beach. And then I found the right fit here in Savannah. And then I've been here for a little over a year. I'm on a 2-year contract here as well. And that's just, I mean, I don't know. That's how I got to where I am today.
How hot is it in Savannah right now?
It's beautiful. It's like 80 right now. I'm sitting on my balcony. Actually, I had to like do a makeshift
Wow.
like tripod thing. But so I made it work, but like because I had broke my what do you call those selfie stick things?
Mm-hmm. I
So
know
I
what you're talking
had to
about.
make it work. But yeah, so it's really nice, beautiful, and I mean I have sitting right by the water, so there's like a breeze coming through. So it's
I'm
nice.
jealous. If you can't tell by my face, that's jealousy a little bit.
What's it like there in Chicago?
I mean, it's sunny, but like a cool 40
A
degrees
cool.
with rain showers. So you never know what you're gonna get.
Ah, dang. I'm so sorry to hear that.
So how did you always know you wanted to be in TV? I know you said you were talking about it with your mom before college, but like when was that like inside of you where you're like, you know what? Like I think I want to do this. I want to be in front of a camera. Like when did you first have that inkling?
Yeah, it kind of started like when I was younger. Like I said, we just watched the news every day, and it was like for me, I think I narrowed it down like my options because I knew like what I wanted to go to school for before I went. I wasn't good at math. I know how to count my money. I wasn't good at I wasn't good at science. So it was like growing up, I was like, oh, I love kids. So I was like, oh, do I want to be a pediatrician? I'm like, no, that takes too much math. That takes too much science. But I really love to write. And I was always gifted in that area. I always excelled in, language arts, everything that had to do with writing. And it seemed as though everywhere else I didn't fail, but I struggled more.
Hmm.
Like I said, with the math, with the science, things like that. So I just went through route. My mom always taught me like, do something that you're gonna love and do something that you're actually like talented at. Like don't do anything that's going to challenge you too much because then you're going to find yourself in a position where you don't even want to do what you went to school for. So you're just going
Right.
to find a job just to find a job. So it kind of played itself out. And I guess it helped me knowing what my strengths were and what my weaknesses were.
And so once you got into it, right? Like I think I was telling you even before this, I'm like, what's the difference between like a news anchor, or on-air personality reporter? Did you know all this stuff like prior to going to college? You're like, oh yeah, I already did the research, I'm good.
Basically, yeah, like I said, because like when I like at home, like I would watch, I mean, there's, you watch the news, so there's like a million newscasts. There's a four there, well, they start in the morning, so there's like early morning newscasts, and they go like to noon, like things like that. So I kind of caught on, like I would see the reporters in the field, and I would see the anchors at the desk, and sometimes, like especially in Chicago, like the anchors get out of the studio, they're at the Taste of Chicago, they're at big events, anchoring live from the field, things like that, as we call it. So I kind of knew the difference between the two, but I think going to college, it's like I didn't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to River Region at SIU, kind of molded me. It was our student produced newscast. It was all student ran, producers, everything from behind the scenes to on air. So there I was able to like learn more about the industry, like what is expected, what you need to kind of get your foot in the door. Before going to college, I didn't know you needed a reel to get a job. I'm thinking like, oh, I got a good resume. Like I'm good at that. So I think going to college really like helped me sharpen those skills that I thought I already knew. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, there's always more to learn.
Right. And did River Region help you create that reel?
Definitely. So I was able to, I didn't do so much reporting. I kind of shied away from reporting just because like I was super nervous about, how to go about doing interviews. And I think I tried to take the easy route with anchoring. I knew how to read the prompter, like things like that. But of course, I don't have that option when you're in the actual industry. Like I had to take those steps to get to where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know, like I was able to kind of do what I wanted there and create like a tape and kind of clip some of the things that I liked. And of course they know you're coming out of college, so your reel is not going to be, this pristine thing. And I didn't intern,
Mm-hmm.
I had an externship, which was about a week. It's a shorter version of an internship. So I was able to go to a production company in Chicago and shadow them and things like that. And then, just networking, a lady from my church, her sorority sister is Karen Jordan. She works at
Oh.
ABC7. So she kind of connected me, and I was able to go, and she was able to look at my reel, because I was wondering like, what am I doing wrong? This
Mm-hmm.
was when I was still working in radio at part-time. So I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I not, I see all of my other peers like getting their first job in the industry in the real world, like, and I'm still here, like, not that I didn't care, but living with my mom, like working two part-time jobs, trying to, I mean, it came to the point where I was applying to stations like 30 times a day, and I would write down each station that I applied to and the date that I applied to. And
Wow.
after, I would give it like a week or two, and then I would like follow up with that news director or whomever. You have to be really aggressive. This is a really, really cutthroat industry. Like it really is. And it's very competitive. And I think that's the part I don't like about it, because it's like, there's other news anchors and reporters that don't want to support you because of that competition, because they're like, oh, well, I see you, it's there's a lot of politics. So I think that River Region really helped me, and I just focus on myself. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
worry about how many followers the next person has. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. So it's just all about kind of working through those loopholes, I guess.
Do you think this is a an industry about more so who you know that can get you in the door, or do you think it's more so what you know? So it's like being like ready to go right when you're like I guess in front of the camera.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think like, in this industry, there are a lot of people like we were talking about earlier, that have agents. I don't have an agent. I don't want to have an agent because you have to give them a portion of your salary, and I'm greedy and I want my money. So, I mean, but I did have the help of, there's recruiters that they don't require, you don't have to pay them. And their job is to seek out talent for these
Mm-hmm.
stations. And you can get this just as good as a job as Joe Blow or Nancy, you know what I mean? Like on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I don't know, like I just wanted to do it on my own, I think, kind of thing.
And so what's
So
like
if that makes
the earning type of potential like in this career, right? Do you think most people in this career have like a pretty good like salary range, or like is it tough to make pretty good money in this industry?
It depends. Going back to your original question, like it's that kind of has to do with like who you know as well. But I think when you first start out, like when I first started out at my first station as a reporter, like strictly a reporter, I was making like nothing. I mean, I was making something. I had a salary, but I was making like,
You were living. Just living.
basically. But I knew like going into the industry, I knew that it would be like that. I wasn't going into it to make $1 million right away, but there are people, as you move up in the ranks, you can make six figures. I mean, it just depends on what your role is, the amount of years you have under your belt, things like that. But I mean, I think my first station, my rent was like $500. Like I thought I was like doing something, you know? So it was like, but then when I came here, like you realize your worth, and when I first started out, you can negotiate your salary before you sign that contract. I didn't know that. I took the job because I was like, yes, like my first step in the door, like, you know, my first step in the door. So I was like, I'm taking it and I'm running. Now I negotiated my salary here. You know, like, what are you worth? And that's what I had to learn. You tell them what you're worth. And if they're not willing to accept it, then you don't have to take that job. There's plenty of people that will come along, or there's plenty of other news directors that will definitely be interested in you. And I think that was one of the problems with one of the jobs that I turned down. And I actually almost took it because I was just ready to go. I hate like staying in one place, which is another reason I like this, because I'm able to move around. But, you know, she sold me short. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just take it. Like, I'm not hearing back from anybody yet. And then another station came along, offered me more money. And originally I verbally said yes to her. And then she was really upset with me, but I'm like, and then they also pay for you to move. She was giving me like $500 to move across the country. I'm like, lady, that's not even a plane ticket, you know? So it's like, you realize like what your worth is. But I guess in answer to your question, you can make a lot of money in this industry. And I don't want to limit myself to just being a news anchor and just being a reporter. I want to expand and be able to like have multiple sources of income, or, you know, create a name for myself where I'm more marketable and I can call the shots, basically, you know.
What's like the best time to be like a reporter or anchor? Is it like a morning, an afternoon, an evening? Is there like a elite spot in like this industry?
Sort of. Like for me, I really like morning news, and I feel like morning news is kind of taking over, and I think a lot of people in this industry can agree with me. But I think night news, you get more of the hard news, you get more hey Nate, you get more of the hard news, and things like that. So some people say, like, you know, the night anchors, they make more money, but in the morning you have more viewers, so your ratings are changing. And I'm not saying night is not the place to be, but personally I just think morning news is popping off a lot quicker and a lot more, because you're also transitioning into those hosting positions, and that's where I would want to like gradually like start to like fall into that category. Like, and it's more playful. Like in the morning you hear people like talking, and it's not so serious, like, you know what I mean? You can be yourself, you can show your personality a little bit more. At night, now you got to read this shooting, then a stabbing, this suicide, you know what I mean? It's like so tough. So
yeah,
it just depends. I mean,
and do you see a lot of African-American women in this industry? Or do you think, again, it's more of like a parity where it's like, it's more, you know, Caucasian, white, male, like heavy?
honestly, I think personally, like, I don't think it's female dominated. Hey Emma, thanks. I don't think it's female dominated, but I definitely think there are a lot more, male anchors and reporters are definitely starting to kind of meet. I think it's kind of 50-50. But I think there are a lot of African Americans in this industry. And, you know, I think going off of that, hair is a big topic as an African American woman, like how you wear your hair on air. And I think that's also changed in the industry as well. Like at my last station, I wear my hair natural now at the station because quarantine, and I'm able to. But at my last station, I was told that it was distracting. Now, again, I was young and dumb, and it was my first station, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, I'm terrified. Like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to straighten my hair. Like, please don't fire me. But here, my news director is like, I don't care how you wear your hair, just as long as you do your job. She's like, as long as you don't come in with like pink hair, I mean, like, that's fine, you know? So I think like African American women are definitely starting to make a leap in this industry. And I don't think I think, to be honest, it's 50-50. And I think people may say that it is swayed a little bit more to Caucasian people in the industry at first, but I think that you're starting to see more of us on the screen.
I love that. I think because most industries, people always say, oh, it's very like, very Caucasian dominated. It's good to see other industries that are like, no, it's like there's equal opportunity, right? And you see a lot of people too in high positions who look like you or look like, someone else that's entering in the industry. So we got
there's
question.
news directors that are Black. Oh yeah, go ahead. I saw a few questions. I didn't.
Oh no, you good. We got one that says, what does your workday look like?
What does my workday look like now during this pandemic? Or well, my daily workday, so since I'm the weekend morning anchor, I work Monday through Wednesday. I report in the field, and then I'm off on Thursdays and Fridays, hence why I'm able to do this. And then I work Saturday mornings from 4 a.m. until 1 p.m. So on the weekdays, Monday through Wednesday, since I report, I work from 9:30 to 6. So I could be in the 4 o'clock show, 5 o'clock show, or 6 o'clock show. And we're required to turn 2 stories a day. Now that sounds like a lot because at my last station, we only turned 1 story. So coming here, I'm like 2 stories, like I barely have time to like breathe, but you can do it. It's all about how you use your time and how you space your interviews out. And of course you're still working on someone else's time. So it's some days it's a little tough. Like, and you also have to make deadline, like when I first got here, I missed deadline. You can't miss deadline because
what does that mean? Like you have to turn a story in about a certain time?
Yes.
And are you like creating the story or like where is the story coming from?
Where is the story coming from? Great question. The way I get my stories, I mean, there's, when you come to a new market, I just start getting in all the Facebook groups. I just start networking. And you start to, like, if you, like, scroll down Facebook, you'll find a story. I mean, it has to be a credible story. You have to make calls. And then, I shoot. Okay, my door. Sorry, wanted to, like, knock the wind is blowing. But, yeah, I have to shoot, write, and edit my own stories for the newscast. So, and you have to do that within your deadline. So I start at 9:30. We have a morning meeting. I pitch my 2 stories. And then I go out and shoot my stories. Typically for me, I like to be done shooting everything at least by 1:30. So then if I'm in the 4 o'clock show, that gives me time to write and edit my video. And it's just,
that sounds stressful.
Yeah. Wine is my friend. Okay. Wine is my best friend. So I hope that answered your question. Long answer, but.
And is that the same now during quarantine? Are you still out or do you have to do everything now from home?
So during the pandemic, we have been semi-working from home. Like for me, since I'm the morning anchor on weekends, I still have to go into the studio. But on weekdays when I report, I've been doing a lot of FaceTime interviews, Zoom interviews. But I've done some in-person interviews. We have masks. They bought us mic stands, so we no longer hold the mic in front of them, things like that. So it's definitely tough, and it's required you to like become more creative. Like with how you do your FaceTime interviews or how you do Zoom or whatever you want to do. But we are working from home. I haven't driven my car in like a month because I have a news car. So, and then we have our gear here, like our camera, tripod, anything you need, our laptop to edit and all that stuff. So.
And you edit?
Just making it work. Yes.
Wow. So you literally know everything about like, it's not even just like, oh, I'm in front and I'm just speaking. It's like, no, I got to edit. I got to do everything.
No,
like,
yeah.
That's a lot of skills you're picking up.
Yeah, it's made me really well-rounded. I think I take it for granted a little bit. Like I don't realize the amount of talent that I have, and I think it's because I'm so humble about it. And people are like, "Do you realize?" Like, and I'm like, I just think of it as like, this is my job. Like, I don't think of it as like, oh my God, I'm this celebrity or local celebrity, wherever, whatever market you're in. I mean, it's hard work and it's rewarding in the end. Like when you look at your story on the news and you're like, wow, like, okay, that turned out the way I wanted it to. Like, that's pretty cool. So it's hard work. It's hard work.
So Nate asked, how has AK Psi, Alpha Kappa Psi, helped you navigate business? Do you find fraternity brothers? That's what it's, right? In the cities that you've lived in currently.
Wait, he said, sorry, that was like a 3-part question. How has AK Psi helped you navigate business? Okay, so I'll answer the first part first.
Okay.
How has it helped me navigate business? Well, going back to the question about making money and salary and things like that, it's allowed me to realize my worth and know how to negotiate, because in business you have to be able to know how to talk to people. In AKSI, I had to talk to like a whole room of people, to get accepted, So it's like I realized like how to talk to people, how to be business professional, how to be business casual, how to, it's, and I think the different things that I had to go through to be a part of AKSI, I was able to take that with me, like knowing how to address business casual. How do you talk to someone? How do you send a letter? How do you send an email? Things like that. And do I find brothers in the cities I've lived? Yes. Well, in the industry, yes, but not in the specific cities. So like when I was in the Quad Cities, it was 3 hours from Chicago, right? So I was still like going home. So there's a lot of bros that live in Chicago, of course. But since I've lived in Savannah, I haven't really found that there are, I mean, it's just, and especially in Savannah, there's a lot of HBCUs. So a lot of people are the AKA, the Alpha,
D9,
those
yeah.
D9, exactly. So it's like, I think that has been a difference for me as well. But who's to say I won't meet any of them?
And
But
so with
yeah,
AK side, you guys are all considered brothers, even if like you're a woman.
yes.
Okay, that's what threw me off. I was like, wait, brothers?
Yeah, no, you're fine.
So how is it
No,
moving
yeah.
to these new cities, right? Do you have friends when you move? Like when you came here to Savannah, did you know people or like how was that for you?
When I came to Savannah, I didn't know anybody. Same thing with the Quad Cities. I didn't know a soul. I love that. It allows me to be like more outgoing. But I think working in news, like I'm forced to know people and like get to know people because I have to make calls for stories. So I think moving to the Quad Cities was a little bit easier because I was closer to home. But here, I think it's been amazing. Like I've met people like instantly. And then of course the people from your station, that's who you start off hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of go from there. But no, I just move on my own and hope for the best.
What about in terms of like dating, right? I know like for my job, my full-time career, I'm moving places every 3 months. So like dating is hard, right? Because you can't create consistency and stability with the person you're with because it's like, all right, I'm in Miami now and now I'm in California. And they're like, well, why can't you just sit still? So is that the same in like your career? Because you said you have contracts, right? So you're moving to different places on maybe a year or 3 years or however. Do you think that that's hard for most people in your industry to like date and find somebody while they're in their career?
I think so. I think it can be difficult. I think a lot of people date within the industry too, because you have like NABJ conferences, which the one that I was supposed to go to this year, they're deciding to do virtual, so it wouldn't have been an in-person. But I
That's no
think for me,
National Association of Black Journalists.
journalists, yep, you got
Okay,
it.
cool.
But yeah, I think for me personally, I'm not in a relationship right now. But I think it can be tough because, say for instance, I'm dating somebody and I'm like, oh, well, I'm here in Savannah for 2 years. Like, you have them move here. And then like after my 2 years, who knows where I'm going to be. So they've spent all this time getting this job here and for you to leave. So it's like, I think it can be tough, but I think if two of the right people are together, they can make it work. And I
Hmm.
think that, distance makes the heart grow fonder. I hate long
True.
distance. I personally hate it. I want to be with my significant other like all the time. But I
Hmm.
think in this process, until you both get to where you want to be, or if you guys can find that happy medium, then it's just something that you have to deal with at the moment.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, I've met people like, you know, since not being in a relationship here, but I'm definitely like really focused on me and my career and and just whatever happens, it happens. I'm not
Right.
necessarily seeking anything, but
Flowing,
so
not forcing.
exactly.
What's your top three journalists that you look up to?
Ooh, probably I really like Robin Roberts, obviously. Good Morning America. I love Cheryl Burton, ABC7 Chicago. And the third one would probably have to be, that's a good one. I knew this question was going to be asked. And I tried to prepare myself, but like there's so many that I love. Definitely Robin Roberts, she's up there. Like I said, Cheryl Burton. And my last one would probably be, I don't know. I was gonna try to pick like a guy, but I would say, I don't know, maybe I like Karen Jordan a lot. I think I'm like Chicago news, like just because that's what I grew up on. But well, Robin Roberts, she's New York, but yeah, I think those are my three. And I mean, they're strong Black women as well, and they've been through a lot. Like Robin Roberts is a cancer survivor. So yeah, I think those would be my three.
How would somebody like a Trevor Noah fall into there? Are they like news too?
I think wouldn't you consider him like a comedian though?
Yeah.
Even though he's a comedian, but like, I think he would be like I guess a television personality, because he kind of does everything. Like he jokes about news, like, politics and stuff like that. So I think that he can fall under that category, but I would kind of consider him like a comedian more so than anything, I guess.
Yeah, because he makes like kind of like, I don't want to say like parodies, but he makes jokes to a lot of the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah. So, but I love Trevor Noah. He's so funny.
If you could go back, right, to any age, what age would you go back to, and what advice would you tell yourself?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. I was a delinquent when I was younger, so
I'm sorry.
I was like my mom, like she always was like, I was so shocked that like you just went through college like no problem, because it was like every time I got ready to graduate like middle school or like high school, I always got in trouble for something. Like in middle school, I like got an in-school suspension like in 8th grade, like for this. It was the dumbest thing ever. But if I had to go back to any age, it would probably be, I would say 13. And I picked that specific age because I was in 7th grade. I was just getting to know myself, finding myself. I was always like in and out of arguments with my friends, like my group of friends. And it was so much drama, and like I cared so much about like what people thought of me. And I cared so much like about like, because I always grew up in an all white school. Like, there was always a handful of me or a handful of me and my friends. So I was always trying to be like the white kids, and it was stressful and it was straining, because I always would ask my mom for these things. And, my mom is a single parent. So she's like, like she wanted to give me these things, but it was like, I saw these things and that's what I wanted, because I thought that was what it was. But these people, I mean, just because you grew up around them, that's not what you have to be like. And it was like, I felt like I was judged so much when I was younger, because, you're going through puberty and like all this stuff. And it was just like, when I got to high school, I think things changed a little bit different because I was in sports. So I really didn't have to deal with all that. But yeah, I would definitely, if I had to go back to 13 and 7th grade, I would just say, be yourself. Don't worry about it and focus on yourself, and, be focused. And don't sell yourself short. Know what you want and go get it, because no one knows more than yourself what you want and what you deserve.
That's very true. And if you don't advocate for yourself, then who is going to?
Exactly. So that's what I would say.
What do you think is something now that people like misunderstand you about, right? And it could be maybe people that are in your career in general. What do you think you're like, how are you misunderstood?
Good question. I think I'm definitely often misunderstood because people say this about my mom too, but I think it's just because we're very independent and we're very strong on the outside and soft on the inside. But I think people often misunderstand me for being like this stuck up person who's not approachable, like who knows it all, like, which I'm not. I'm just a very strong person. And I think that could be like a defense mechanism for me, because like, if I look like very serious or unapproachable, then I won't be judged, or not even that. It's just like I don't know. I just think I'm just very driven. So people often come off as like, oh my God, like, but then when they get to know me, they were like, oh my God, I thought you were so mean. And I'm like, why? Just because of the way I looked? What do you mean? Like, I'm sorry. Glad we're friends now. But yeah, so I think people like misunderstand me for being like stuck up and just this person that I'm not. And it's, and being in media, I'm judged every day. So it's like, I've gotten used to it. I have such thick skin. It's ridiculous.
Would you consider yourself an extrovert since like you get to talk in front of the camera all the time?
No. I like kind of, but like believe it or not, like I have enjoyed this quarantine. Like I don't need to be around people. Like I am like, and it's crazy because like sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to like go out, like I want to go out to eat with my friends or like just do something like, but then sometimes I just want to come home after work, not watch the news and watch like Netflix or like drink some wine or listen to music. Like music is
Hmm.
like a big therapy for me. So I mean, I think television has definitely brought out more of my personality, but I don't
Hmm.
think it's necessarily made me an extrovert. But I wouldn't say I'm an introvert either. Like I'm very outgoing. I love, I love to talk. But I don't necessarily have to be around a lot of people all the time, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, I think I'm learning that about myself too during quarantine. I'm like, wow, I can be alone for a few days and I'm okay. Okay,
Right.
that's cool.
Exactly.
Latoya Fondren, I hope I said your name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. She said, wow, I'm from Chicago too. I would love to chat with you soon.
Oh, for
And
sure.
so
I think we follow each other.
how can people stay connected with you? If people want to like hit you up or like follow you, how can they do that?
Definitely on Instagram. I think when I was telling you earlier, I think I've more so on Facebook. Like I do Facebook lives in the morning, and things like that. But Instagram and then Facebook, like it's just Briana Collier TV. You can find me easily there. And then I do have Twitter as well. It's just I think what is my Twitter? Oh, it's WTOC Briana. I had to
Okay.
change my name on there because we had to in order to get like verified and stuff for work. But yeah, Twitter. I'm terrible at. I'm trying to get better with that. But yeah, definitely those. And then of course Instagram. And I mean I don't mind talking to people. I love networking. Like I love getting to know new people. And I think that's why I love my career so much because I can pick up and move every 2 years. I don't have any kids. Like, or if I like it here, I can stay here, and it's allowed me to see such beautiful cities. Like Savannah is so beautiful. South Carolina is just over the bridge. Florida's just down the road. Like, you know what I mean?
I saw your beach photos. We're peeping.
Oh, are you? Don't be too jealous. No, no, it's fun. It's definitely fun. Like I was able to go to Hilton Head a few times, which is so beautiful. And it's like it's things that like you see in the movie. And now I'm like living in a tourist city, which has its good and bad. Because I definitely get noticed a lot.
Hmm.
So I try to like go so incognito. Like I'll go so ugly to the grocery store, like on purpose, like, and I'll still get noticed. And I'm like, are you kidding
But that
me?
must
Like
be great
how?
though, right? It's kind of the fruits of your labor too that people get to see and be like, oh my God, that's so awesome that like I can see you. I feel like that has to also be like a good feeling.
Oh, it definitely is. Like it lets me know that like people are watching and like not everybody hates the media, and it allows like people to see me like, oh my God, you're a normal person. Like you go to the grocery store, like you get wine from the liquor store
Hmm.
or wherever. Like you can go outside and take a walk. Like you go to the gym. Like yeah, like I'm a real person. Like that's what I do. And I also like I get involved in the community. Like I don't just sit here and go to work and come home. Like I coach, like I
Hmm.
actually like to get out and like so people know like who I am, but also know that like I'm a normal person and like what you see on TV isn't just me.
Hmm. So you coach girls basketball still right now?
Well, our season's done. We went undefeated in the season, lost in the playoffs. The refs cheated us, but it's okay. Some of my girls tuned in. I know they cheated us. It's all right. But yeah, so I coach fifth grade girls here, and then at my last station, I coach sophomore girls, high school.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
how does that create the flexibility for you, right? You said sometimes you'll work from like 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it's like a stressful day. So how do you make time to do those other things outside of your job?
Well, like here, well, I was the morning reporter at my last station Monday through Friday. So I worked from 2 a.m. until what was my schedule? I worked from 2 a.m. until noon, I believe. And then or 2 a.m. to 1 of those. And so I was able to like I had my whole day after that. Of course I had to be sleeping by like hopefully I mean the latest like 8, maybe 9 o'clock, and I would still be okay. So we
Hmm.
had practice, they had practice after school in high school from 3:30 to 5:30. So that was perfect. Here it was a little bit more challenging because I was the head coach versus just the assistant coach. So I'm running practices. Like I don't have an assistant coach. So for me, fifth grade girls, they're a little bit more flexible because they didn't need to practice every day. So I practice on my off days, which were Thursdays, Fridays, and then we would practice on Sundays, because on Saturdays and Sundays I'm off by 1. So we practice from 3 to 5. So it worked, and then games, like I would leave from my story and go to our game to coach, and then I would go home and eat and have dinner. But I loved those girls. Like, they were such an escape. Like, it was just so amazing. Like, I love them so much, and it reminded me so much of like who I was when I was younger. And they loved me. Like, I worked them hard, but we were undefeated. Like, they worked for it, So
I love that. We got to play one day too. I'm a little competitive though, so
let's go. I just bought a Papa Shot. I was so bored. I bought it on Amazon. It's like, I don't know if you can, it's like on this side. I'm like, before we end the live, I got you.
Okay, cool. So we got another question. Do you see news ever going away from TV stations and going more toward different platforms, like how Blockbuster's now kind of like changed to like a Netflix?
I don't, honestly, that's hard. I don't think so, because I think right now, especially like it's real during this pandemic, it's showing us what's essential. And so I think newspapers and radio is definitely something newspaper for sure is like on the outs. And I think television news is, because, more people watch TV, you know what I'm saying? And I think that news is always going to stick around, just because like people need to stay informed. During this pandemic, how do you find out how many cases, or whether you're still on in shelter in place? You don't go to Netflix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You watch the news. So it's like, and history repeats itself. This isn't going to be the last time there's a global pandemic, so it's like you got to just think about it. But I think that it's also becoming more versatile. Like, there's people that are on Netflix that are like, kind of like you said, doing those parodies or incorporating news into shows. And I think that's really cool. So I think that it can be a little bit of both, but I don't think news will ever go away, honestly. I just don't personally think so.
It's just the way that maybe it's just given to us might shift.
Yeah, potentially. Because I think, with people working from home now, I think that might become a new norm, or I think that people will start doing it more because it's working, and I think no station knew how this was going to go. And I think that's why news directors slowly started having people work from home. Like, okay, reporters, you're definitely working from home to start off with. Then we'll say producers and, upper management, things like that. Then we'll start like saying, okay, well, you guys can work from home. We're seeing how this goes slowly, because viewers are going to come at you. So if there's anything you do wrong on air, they're coming for your head. Like, people hate us right now. People think the media started this pandemic, and it's hilarious. But,
I'm just going to say no comment on that, but I think I have some reasons on there. No, I don't hate the media. I don't hate the media at all. But I think some things stem from our, is it number 45?
Oh, so, yeah, number 45.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Are there any like programs, opportunities, or resources that you did that you would recommend to other people who are trying to like get into your career?
I would definitely NABJ. I got into NABJ late. I think I was in college. I didn't even know we had a chapter there. And I was more focused on like other things. I don't even know. So, and hence why I said, like, I was super excited to go to this conference. Like, it was supposed to be in DC. They're still having it, but it's just virtual. So I think that's definitely something, to get involved with. I think for me, like, if college students are watching, definitely, like, if you have like any internships, to intern, like, wherever you can intern, like, that's my sorry. Definitely intern. And then, other programs, like I said, the River region, but NABJ is a really big one. And then I think it's like, say you want to be like investigative or anything like that, like there's different like programs that you can do to hone in on those specific skills. Like, I don't want to do investigative journalism, but there are people that do. But and then there's NAHJ, which is National Association of Hispanic Journalists. There's something geared toward everyone. But I think internships is really, really important to get your name out there and just get in front of news directors and stuff like that. And like what else did I think, I'm trying to think of what else I did. I can't think of anything else that I did when, yeah, those are definitely two big ones for sure. But yeah, is Karen, I don't think she is. I don't think she's the president of the Chicago chapter, Tony.
Hmm. That's my mama.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I don't think she is. Not of the Chicago chapter. Is she talking about NABJ or?
I think she's talking about NABJ in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't think she is.
What do you think is like the toughest thing in your career that like you didn't know about?
Um, the toughest thing about my career would, I would probably say coming up with story ideas. But I think the toughest part is like, I don't know, like telling the tough stories, like, like every day, like it brings a new day. Like, you never know what you're going to cover. I mean, you do because you have to pitch these stories, but it's just like, one day I could be covering a shooting. Like one day here, there was like a shooting where the guy stole the car with a 7-month-old baby in the car. I'm like,
Mm.
why is this baby in all your drama? Like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the toughest part, and also getting along with other people like in the industry, because it can definitely be cutthroat and it's definitely competitive, like I said. So it's just knowing how to like stay in your place, but also like being making a way for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also it's hard, like when you have people that are, like these seasoned anchors and reporters, they look at you as you're less than. So it's just like those people who are the legacy at a station and things like that. It's hard to kind of like get in where you fit in, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And newsrooms can be intimidating. Like you have to attack them with everything. You know what I'm saying? So I think I would say stories that I cover every day, knowing where to fit in. If, depending on how your newsroom is, like I'm lucky to have a great newsroom where everyone's just understanding and gets along for the most part.
Is it hard to
But,
find mentors then?
um, kind of, not really. Like I had mentors that, like at my last station, and they were in sales. I mean, they were still worked in news, but they were like
Mm-hmm.
the GMs of sales and things like that. So they understood where I was coming from. But I think mentors can follow you wherever you go. Like you don't
Mm-hmm.
always have to have a mentor at every station that you go to. I mean, I'm sure that's lovely and I'm sure that's nice. But I think it just depends. Like I was lucky enough to have mentors, like through college, like Stacey Saunders at SIU. I mean, she helped me along the way. Like I don't even know if I would have made it without her. So you know what I mean? So it's like and I still talk to her to this day. So it's amazing. And I think one of the anchors here, like I think I've definitely started to look at her more like a mentor. I ask her for advice,
Mm-hmm.
because like, I get asked to host things, so I'm just like, I just ask her little questions, and things like that. But I think anybody can really be a mentor depending on what your definition of a mentor is.
Okay. And so what would be maybe like what's your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal, uh, that's a good question. I mean, I would really like to be in a position where I'm, I'm, I'm able to do what I want and be in my career, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not just what defines me. Like my ultimate goal is to be a weekday morning anchor and like host.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to like have an organization where I'm working with kids, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm kind of like able to eventually be financially free and not have to depend on like, oh God, I have to make another reel to go, you know what I mean? Like, but I
Mm-hmm.
love what I do. So I don't mind going to work every day. But I think my ultimate goal is definitely to be a weekday morning anchor slash host, and then also work with kids on the side. I love kids. So
And what keeps you passionate and like hungry to keep pursuing in this career, right? When like times get tough and like maybe the stories are difficult or like, I know there's a lot of like the psychology elements, right? Talking to people,
yeah.
especially if they've been through like really tough, really tough things. So what keeps you like going and you're like, you know what, I'm still hungry and like I'm gonna keep going after this because this is what I want to do.
I think I'm very competitive, so I like the competition. Like I like to be like, oh, okay, so you went to that market. All right, bet. Like, you know what I mean? And it's not just about market size. It's about where you fit in and what you want to do. And I think my family keeps me going too, because my family like looks to me like, I mean, they look to me like I'm this like global celebrity. Like they're super proud of me and they love it. Like they love that they can watch me, you know, on TV, because I said that from the jump. I said what I said and I did what I said I wanted to do. And I went after it. And I think that's what also keeps me going, knowing that people support me as well. Because I think without support, it's just kind of like, what are you doing it for? Of course, you have to do it for yourself at the end of the day. But if you have no one to support you, it makes it a lot tougher. You know, it makes it a lot tougher to keep going every day. And especially during this pandemic, like, I mean, there's been times where I'm like, I just need a mental break. Like, I cannot do this. And I would just talk to my mom, my news director. She's super understanding. She's been there. I mean, this company is just great. I mean, they've advocated for us this whole process. So I think it's just like having those people like in your corner, you know?
And then what advice do you think you would give to people just in general that's just in your industry?
In general, in my industry, the advice I would probably give is don't stop and stay focused, because it's easy to get defocused, like I said, and comparing yourself to other people. I still do it. But I've slowed down a little bit because it's so easy to compare yourself. You're like, oh, well, what am I doing? Like, how did she? No, it doesn't matter. Everybody has their own separate journey. Stay the course. Stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about what the next person is doing or not doing. Stay in your lane, stay focused, and understand and realize the talent that you have, and keep honing in on that talent. It took me a while to realize, like, some people would always be like, Brie, you're so talented. And I'm like, am I really? Like, thanks. Like, even to this day, like when I get compliments, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm so humble about it. It's just like,
Imposter syndrome.
I feel like I can always do better. And I don't know why. And my mom always says, like, you're so hard on yourself. Like, I'll come home and like, I'll have a hair out of place in one of my stories. And I'm like, that story sucked. And she's like, really? I thought it was a great story. Like, and it's not that like tedious things like that, but it's like, I'm super critical of myself. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm definitely like super, super hard on myself. And it just pushes me to go harder.
That's good though that you have it like innately in you, right? Because I think we are our worst critics. And so we're always on ourselves to push ourselves. But if we don't push ourselves, again, right, you're relying on someone else to do it for you. And that's, I feel like, is not a good plan.
Not at all.
So I like to round out these lives by asking who's being great in your life. So it's not just one person, but like, I want you to kind of name people who you see either in your industry or not, who are just, you're influenced by, they're being very successful, or they're just like mentally, emotionally, like in a great place where you're like, wow, like this person is being great in what they're doing.
There's a few people. I would definitely say, I don't know, there's a few girls that worked behind the scenes first, and they realized that they wanted to be on air, and I think that they're doing great. Ariel's one of them, so shout out to her. She's doing great. And then also one of my good friends, we don't talk every day. I mean, we follow each other still. I mean, we keep up with each other. But I was really close with her in college, and I mean, we did so much together. And so she was in River Region, and she, we both thought we were going to be news anchors and like, do all this stuff, but she went a different route. Now she has her own podcast. So shout out to Robin. She's doing her thing. I mean, her podcast is taking off, and it's Pillow Talk Podcast. So I just plugged her there, but, she's doing, like, she's being great. Like she realized that she doesn't have to do the course that everyone else did and take the path everyone else did. She can still be her personality. She's still a personality technically, but she just has her own podcast. She does her own thing. So I think those two people, and it's like, it's hard because I want to shout out everybody, but so don't feel bad if I shout you out. But who else can I think of you're doing great. I think this is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
This series that you've started is definitely inspiring to me and making me want to think of, ways I can network and do things like this with other people. But yeah, I can't think right now, like off the top of my head, but I definitely wanted to mention Robin because I've just been watching her take off. Like, it's crazy, not that I didn't see it in her, but it was just crazy because I thought she was going to be on the news, like, too, and like going through the same process and like So it's just really cool to see like how people are being creative and doing their own thing, honestly.
And what's next for you? Where do you want to go next?
I don't know. Like honestly, I love the South. Like since I got down here, and it's funny. Nate just messaged me. He's like, "You got to get to Charlotte." Charlotte is on my list, and Charlotte is a great market. Charlotte is a market that is very competitive. Charlotte is a market where I would really have to work hard. I think I would love to stick around the South, so maybe like Florida, South Carolina area. I mean, I've never been to the West Coast. I would love to get out to the West Coast. Vegas is a great market. I've been to Vegas though. But I think North Carolina has been on the top of my list for a while. Georgia was on my list as well. But it just wherever God takes me, honestly. I think I'm focusing here on this market and focusing on how to get better. And when that time comes, if it comes, who knows? I might stay here, like, so I don't know, like, it depends, but there's a lot on my list that I want to see and do. And that's all.
Well, I appreciate you coming, and talking and telling people about like your journey. Even me, I think I've gained tips about your industry now. I think everything went over my head, right? I was like, everything was kind of the same for me. I was like, everybody's a news anchor, like I don't really know much about it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you talking about your career, your journey, and your goals too. And before we end, you said you were going to show us this Papa shot.
Oh yeah, I got you. Okay, let's go. We'll take this. All right,
take a journey.
So I bought this on Amazon. Like Brittany, I was so bored, and I was so sad. Like my girls, we didn't get to have like our end of the season party. Like, so I was like, you know what? It's like I'm buying this Papa Shot thing, and like, we have like at our station, we have like, we do like different events and stuff where you have to show our face. And so in order to get our viewers engaged and things like that, we have like games that they can play and like win prizes and stuff like that. So how do you flip this thing? Here it is.
Oh, like those things.
Ballin'. Yeah. Let's see if I can make one on this.
Those are cool.
Yeah, don't judge me though if I miss. Oh no, see I don't miss though. See, I don't miss. They don't miss it out here.
You were watching that Michael Jordan series the other day. That's why.
Oh, that is so. That series is so good. And what's crazy? I'm gonna sit this down really quick, but it's crazy because Michael Jordan's rookie house is in Highland Park where I lived, and one of my teammates lives in his rookie house.
Wow.
Yeah, it's dope.
That's cool.
So so it's really cool. And the Berto Center is in Deerfield. Deerfield is right next to Chicago. So yeah.
I love that.
Hey, don't be laughing at me, Nate.
I appreciate it. I like that little pop shot. I have a like a little hoop in my place too that I use. I just get bored and like instead of throwing paper in a trash can, I'm like, let's just pop some hoops. But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. I think Instagram's going to cut me off in a little bit, but I'm going to save this, pop it on YouTube. So you can reference if you want to send this to anybody too, because I know this is some valuable information that a lot of people would like to learn. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out and wanting little old me to be on your series.
Please,
I appreciate it.
please. You big time.
I wish. I'm almost there. I got some work, but I appreciate it.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care. Stay safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.